think so. She was in there getting in a cold tub, so she keeps saying I'll be fine, so I trust her.
What's going on, my Flyby family? It's your boy Izzy. Welcome if you're new. Sophie Cunningham's injury scared everybody half to death.
Stephanie White, our beloved Indiana coach, who could likely win a game with her eyes closed, just gave an injury update on Sophie Cunningham. And let me tell you, this isn't your typical she's doing fine scenario. Nope. We're talking about an update packed with unexpected twists, a few turns, and maybe even a hint of drama. The kind that makes you stop and say, wait, what? Trust me, this injury storyline is about to get a whole lot more intriguing.
Sophie Cunningham went down with what did not look like the greatest injury. She went down, rolled her ankle after landing on Ryan Howard's leg, which is not an ideal situation.
Stephanie White just dropped a bombshell about Sophie Cunningham's injury. And trust me, this isn't your typical emotional, tear-filled update. If you were expecting a tragic story of Sophie sulking on the bench with a box of tissues, think again. You'd better grab your popcorn, because what's unfolding is anything but ordinary. Sophie Cunningham isn't the type to let an injury sideline her spirit. She's gearing up for a comeback that's bound to be anything but quiet.
Number one, the starters for Indiana were okay, right? We ended up seeing a change in the starting lineup. We saw Sophie Cunningham get the starting nod. However, Sophie Cunningham had to go out of the game. I forgot what half that was, if that was in the first half or the second half, but Sophie Cunningham was coming down. She was in the air, coming down. She ended up rolling her ankle on Ryan Howard's foot. She went out of the game, was on the bench for a little while, and I believe she went to the locker room, but she did not return back to the...
See, Sophie Cunningham is built differently. She's not just a player, she's a warrior. Injuries don't shake her, they ignite her. She's not the kind to sit around hoping some injury fairy shows up with a sprinkle of magic healing dust. No, she's the kind who stays down adversity and says, "You've thrown me a challenge, now watch me conquer it." When news of her injury first broke, the usual questions started swirling. Is this the end of her season? Will she play it safe and take time to recover?
Yes, Sophie Cunningham got injured. Okay, she got injured. She landed on her ankle the wrong way. Let's go ahead and look through the play right now. All right. So here she is here, coming for the rebound, boom, and lands on Ryan Howard's foot the wrong way, and she was holding it, man.
But if you followed Sophie Cunningham's career, you already know the answer before the question's even asked. Sophie doesn't wait around for permission or play it safe. That's just not her style. She charges back into the action like the injury never happened, leaving a trail of outplayed opponents behind her. In fact, this update isn't about sitting on the sidelines. It's about a comeback so fierce, it reminds everyone they are witnessing a true game changer in real time.
Number one, the starters for Indiana were okay, right? We ended up seeing a change in the starting lineup. We saw Sophie Cunningham get the starting nod. However, Sophie Cunningham had to go out of the game. I forgot what half that was, if that was in the first half or the second half, but Sophie Cunningham was coming down. She was in the air, coming down. She ended up rolling her ankle on Ryan Howard's foot. She went out of the game, was on the bench for a little while, and I believe she went to the locker room, but she did not return back to the...
Let's be real. When Sophie Cunningham steps back on the court, it's not just an athlete making a return. It's a force of nature about to shake the game to its core. Anyone doubting her? They are in for a rude awakening. She's not just coming back, she's coming back strong. Sophie is an absolute warrior, a modern-day superhero. No cape necessary. Just a sweat-soaked jersey and a look of pure determination. Honestly, she's got the kind of build that looks like she could bench press a car, and the attitude that says, "Try and stop me." She's not just built like a tank, she plays like one, too. The kind of player who demands your full attention, making you sit up, eyes locked on the screen, wondering how one person can move with that much power and purpose. Whether it's on offense, defense, or just cutting through the chaos of the game, Sophie's always moving. A relentless freight train with no brakes and no fear.
Game. So I hope that Sophie Cunningham is okay. Again, you know, it looks like a rolled ankle, so hopefully it's not too bad. Maybe she's out for a day or so, but yeah, we'll see. We'll find out an update from the Indiana Fever. But Sophie Cunningham did go out of the game due to injury.
If you ever needed proof that the Indiana Fever aren't just a team but a full-blown force of nature, look no further than Sophie Cunningham. She's not just a piece of the puzzle. She's the lightning in the storm. Honestly, the team could change their slogan to "We're not just here to play, we're here to crush." And Sophie would be the first to shout, "That's right." What sets her apart is more than skill. It's her mindset. She's got that rare mix of lion-like ferocity and gazelle-like agility, making opponents look like they're chasing a blur. And here's the thing about Sophie. She doesn't flinch when she's knocked down. She doesn't complain when she gets slammed to the floor, which, by the way, did happen during the Mystics game. More on that in a second. It doesn't rattle her. It doesn't even slow her down. You can almost hear her thinking, "Oh, that was fun. Let's run it back." Then she's back on her feet like nothing happened. Like gravity is just a suggestion and pain is just noise.
And that's a positive thing. She was like trying to see if she could get back in the game. Obviously, they're not dumb. They're not going to put her back into a preseason game. But she was trying to get back into the game, which is big. Like if we're honest, that is genuinely big. But as well as that, we've now heard Stephanie White talking about it.
Seriously, this is a woman who's endured more physical punishment than most of us will in a lifetime. And yet she steps onto the court every game with the heart of a champion and the resilience of a fighter. Sophie Cunningham isn't just playing to win. She's out to prove that no matter how many times you knock her down, you can't break her. So yes, Sophie is in full-on beast mode. And if you've been living under a rock, let's clear something up. Her injury isn't some simple "she's out for the season" storyline. Not even close. Sophie Cunningham isn't the type to let an injury sideline her spirit or her game. She's out there blowing past defenders, setting up plays, and moving like she's gunning for a role in the next Fast and Furious movie. If you thought she'd just sit back and let an injury define her, then you clearly don't know Sophie.
Everybody was scared in the live stream, man. I was holding my breath. My face was fixed a certain way that looked crazy. I mean, we were scared in there, okay? Now, the main thing is, yes, she twisted her ankle, okay? And she was out for the rest of the game. But she is okay, all right? It did look like it could have been something worse because of how she landed, and it was like more so of an Achilles looking stretch instead of a twisted sideways foot. So that's what scared, that's what scared me. But nonetheless, man, it came out that it was a twisted ankle and she was okay. And she was just going to sit out for the rest of the game.
Stephanie White, head coach of the Indiana Fever and, let's be honest, the mastermind behind it all, is probably sitting back in her chair right now with that signature, satisfied grin. Why? Because she knows she's hit the jackpot. And that jackpot has a name, Sophie Cunningham. When you've got a player like Sophie on your roster, you don't panic over injuries or tight standings. You don't need to. Sophie doesn't just play the game, she owns it. She's the one diving for loose balls, throwing herself into the chaos, and making every second on the court count. You can throw whatever you want at her, a hard-hitting opponent, a scoreboard creeping too close for comfort, and she won't flinch. If anything, she feeds off it. Sophie Cunningham thrives in high-pressure moments, flipping the script with a little blood, a lot of sweat, and probably a few bruises she'll wear like a badge of honor. And Stephanie White knows exactly what that means. When you have a player like Sophie, you've already got the edge. It's like the old saying goes, pain is temporary, glory is forever. Sophie, she shrugs off the pain. She's chasing the glory, and game after game, she's making sure it's hers.
Started in her place, which was an interesting wrinkle before the game. Cunningham actually stepped on somebody's foot and turned her ankle and had to leave the game, though Stephanie White said afterwards that Cunningham said she'll be fine. So that's the update from Sophie Cunningham, and it was a run-of-the-mill step on the foot ankle injury.
Let's talk about that Mystics game. Oh, you know the one. If you watched it, you're probably still replaying it in your head like a scene from a sports movie. But this wasn't just a game. This was a moment. Sophie Cunningham didn't just take a hit. She got leveled. And this wasn't your average foul where a player brushes it off and keeps moving. No, this was the kind of collision where it felt like the universe itself leaned in and said, let's see just how tough Sophie really is. And the result? Pure cinematic gold. Most players would have stayed down, maybe waited for a hand up, caught their breath, milked the sympathy from the crowd. But not Sophie. She hit the floor hard, slammed like a rag doll, and what did she do? She popped right back up. No hesitation. No second guessing. Just this fiery, fearless look that said, is that all you've got? It was like watching someone audition for the role of most dangerous person on the court. Her body hit the floor, but her spirit? untouchable. That moment didn't break her. It proved, once again, that trying to knock Sophie Cunningham down is a losing game.
And it's getting ugly already out there. There was a couple of ugly fouls. And the retards, as I like to call them, the RAHTARDSs